Okay, are we ready? Everything's on. I will call this meeting to order at 2:17. We are at the Transportation Policy Committee meeting Thursday, June the 4th, 2026 at 2:17. We're at Corpus Christi City Hall Council Chambers, 1201 Leopard Street, Corpus Christi, Texas, 78401. And Clarissa, do you want to call the roll?
Judge Connie Scott.
Present.
Mayor Paulette Guajardo. Judge David Krebs. Mayor John Green.
Here.
Gabe Guetta. Mike Walsh.
Here.
Art Granado.
Present.
Emily Martinez. Chad Miguel.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to public comment. It's my understanding no one has signed up for public comment?
No, just double checking, no signed up, none online. So we're
Okay.
clear with public comments on or off the agenda.
Thank you. Moving on to item 3, approval of the TPC May 7th, 2026 regular meeting minutes. I will accept a motion if you've had a chance to review. You might punch your button
Yes.
and speak.
I'll make the motion to approve the May 7th, 2026 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to discussion and possible action items. First up today is the resolution of appreciation for Mayor Kathy Skirl of the City of Portland, our dear friend, and we want to thank you. I know he said they sometimes do this, sometimes don't, but in my court, we read them. I would like to read it in your honor, please. So, a resolution recognizing the regional leadership and the transportation provided by Mayor Kathy Skirl. Whereas Mayor Kathy Skirl served the region as a member of the Transportation Policy Committee from August the 2nd, 2018 through April the 2nd, 2026. And whereas Mayor Skirl has demonstrated statesmanship, leadership, and professionalism in guiding the Corpus Christi Metropolitan Planning Organization to a more prominent role in a regional transportation planning through the development of the $7 billion in various metropolitan transportation plans, nearly $1 billion in various transportation improvement programs, and various projects in the Unified Planning Work Programs, and specifically her leadership in the approval process for the $1.4 billion new Harbor Bridge project. And whereas the members of the Corpus Christi Metropolitan Planning Organization's Transportation Policy Committee, Technical Advising Committee, and professional staff appreciate the leadership of Mayor Skirl for a job well done. And now therefore be it resolved that the Corpus Christi Metropolitan Planning Organization expresses its deepest appreciation for the outstanding contributions made by Mayor Skirl during her years of working to advance regional transportation solutions through the Corpus Christi Metropolitan Planning Organization, and unanimously adopted this 4th day of June 2026 at the Transportation Policy Committee meeting of the Corpus Christi Metropolitan Planning Organization. And it will be signed by all of us, but I would like to make the first motion to approve right now. Do you want to second it since you're her replacement? Yes.
Said it. I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Would anyone like to make any comments or anything, just other than we're excited to have you here, and I sincerely thank you for the guidance you showed me when I joined this policy organization, and really was very green, and you have helped me. You've answered every one of my calls, and don't worry, you're still going to answer them because I'm still going to be calling. So we appreciate it very much, and thank you for your leadership very much, and I believe we have something here for you.
Yes, Judge, we also have something
Yes.
for the mayor. Would you like to join us
Sure.
there so you can, maybe we'll get a quick.
See, I want to come down here too with us. Let's do a picture.
I will hand it to the judge again.
I know your phone number.
Yeah, she answers.
Not going far.
No, oh, she's not. She lives right around the corner. If she doesn't answer, I'm gonna go get her.
Thank you again. Moving on to item B, the draft fiscal year 2027 UPWP. And Rob, I think you're going to take
Great.
this.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Today we have, and I will show you the prop. You have to see the document once in your life. You can see it on our website, but it's, in one of these 100-page documents. So our Unified Planning Work Program acronym is UPWP. That is the MPO budget that we have and we're laying out for you all to approve today. It's come through your Technical Advisory Committee. It is a joint recommendation from staff and the TAC for you to approve it. So the process then goes to TxDOT for review and approval and our federal partners who actually pay our 100% federal funded budget. And so no dollars from our local governments, but the work program is built upon a template that all 25 MPOs, federal highways, TxDOT, we've agreed to the template. So we filled in the dots and crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's. And so you saw it last month. This is the end of the 1-month public comment period for folks to comment on what we're going to cover. And so most of this is for our operations budget, as I said, all for staff time, all our benefits, all those things. Also all our direct expenses, our rent. So we pay our rent, we pay for copiers and paper and all the other things that office environments have. So all that's in this document. It's been available online for 30 days. And so today we're asking for your approval. And once approved, it'll go into the next process. Our federal fiscal year starts October 1st. If all things go as we expect, the federal government will pass a budget, we'll have a new transportation law, and we'll get to expend these dollars October 1st. Now, a couple of changes, as you can imagine, with our federal government approving a budget and approving a transportation law. In the draft transportation law, there's an increase to all MPOs. And so if there's an increase, if there's more money coming, you'll have your first amendment of this work program or our budget. We'll bring back that as soon as it's humanly possible. And so we want to make sure it's up to date. We typically have only 1 or 2 amendments to our budget. It's pretty habitual. I mean, what we spend our money on is pretty much the same year in, year out. It's approved by TxDOT, federal partners, and our fiscal agent. They process all the payments. Seems to work pretty well. And so the numbers haven't changed in a long time. But for the first time, as I said, the federal government's draft highway bill has a change for the first time. And I think it's about a 9% increase. So for us, that's about $90,000. And so if that happens, we'll bring it back. But for today, your Technical Advisory Committee and your staff are recommending you approve the UPWP or our budget for fiscal year 2027. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? I'll accept a motion and
Move the adoption of the following agenda item 4B.
Second?
we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item C, the draft MPO bylaws and operation procedures revision. And Rob, this is you.
Thank you, Judge. Last month, we were talking about change to the bylaws. And so according to your bylaws, to change them, you can't do it at the first meeting. You've got to do it at the following meeting. So we had a discussion actually last month and over some months, if not years. We've been looking at our bylaws as part of the boundary change. And so that's part of your next agenda item. But for this item, the bylaws, we've talked over time about a couple things. One of which is a new member, and that's the version that we have in front of you, adding the city of Gregory as a voting member. And then also, as you suggested, we put language in this version of the bylaws to deal with ties. And so instead of just deferring generally to Robert's Rules of Order, what we found out in MPOs in Texas, they put in their bylaws, how do you deal with ties? So the language that you saw in the packet was pretty much, if it's a tie vote, like today, if it's a tie vote, the motion fails and no further action. The item would have to come back. So we put that in the bylaws for your consideration. If that's what you like, then that would deal with any ties that may happen in the future. And so those are the two biggest changes in the document before you. Now, part of the other discussions, and I've had some discussion with some of the policy committee members of what we talked about years ago was alternate members. And so as we look at quorum to make sure we have a quorum, the concept came up that we could have designated policy committee members and alternates. We put that in a version of bylaws, and then you all talked about, and our attorney brought forward that the Attorney General opinion is that you, as an MPO, cannot do that change. You can't have alternates. And that was an Attorney General opinion. I'll let the attorney elaborate if we need that. But so we took it out of the draft bylaws. It didn't say county judge or alternate. It didn't say mayor or alternate. It just says the mayor, county judge, and the individuals that are voting members. And so one of the considerations is to reconsider that so we can maybe have a better chance of having easily quorum and not waiting for people to rush to get here. And so that's one of the things. And we looked around, and Mike looked at some of the other MPOs where his counterparts have seen that there is alternates. So he found one MPO, I found another one. The one I found was San Antonio. So they amended their bylaws in 2024, and they have alternate members. And so it's in their bylaws. Somehow that got approved. And so we think there's a way for us to look at that, to see if we can come up with language and then maybe bring back the bylaws with that change. But also the concept, again, to help with quorum, try to get maybe video meetings or having the ability to have
Virtually.
you all join this as a video option. Again, we'd have to change bylaws. We'll have to work with the attorney to make sure it all works out. And so I would propose today that to continue the bylaw process or the boundary change process, your next agenda item, that process requires your currently adopted bylaws to be in the packet, submitted to TxDOT, and off to the governor for approval to do our boundary change. That process takes anywhere from 8 months to 2 years to get through TxDOT and the governor's office. I would propose for your consideration, approve the bylaws in this item, put them in the boundary change packet, get that submitted, start the clock on our boundary change. And then next month, we bring back the bylaw changes that we could change as a singular item and then swap out the boundary change that would be already submitted. And so I want to offer that as part of your discussion, but we're happy to wait. The boundary change has to be done by December. And so we want to make sure we don't miss that. Otherwise, our federal partners will set our boundary, and we don't want that to happen. Mm-hmm. And so for the bylaw change, I think you have the option on this item, but I bring up the next item that includes bylaws. We could use these bylaws in the boundary change packet to next item and move forward, and then bring back just a change in the bylaws to contemplate two things: the video ability or remote voting, and also the alternates.
And I really like the alternates plan that I have with Bexar County, where if it's an elected official, it has to be an alternate elected official. It has those kind of standards. This plan here looks really good.
Yeah, and that one is the Alamo area, the San Antonio MPO. Yeah. They have a paragraph of how they deal with alternates. Seems to be approved. I can't tell you today how they got that approved, in light of the Attorney General opinion that you all heard about a couple months ago.
Question.
Go ahead.
That's what I was going to ask. I'm kind of confused. One, I think you're bouncing between, just so we get this straight, you're kind of bouncing around between 4C and 4D, so I'm getting confused on that, on the boundary change, because we're actually on 4C, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now on that one, you had mentioned that the Attorney General had basically given an opinion on being able to provide alternates, yet we're still talking about alternates. So again, I'm getting kind of confused if we're allowed to actually make that change. And if we do make a change, does that mean that that particular person is just temporary an alternate when we can't make it, or they sit in that position the whole time they weren't? Do you follow me? In other words, if I have an alternate, is it somebody that I just say, hey, I can't make it today, you need to go, or do they always sit in the position of this spot?
Yeah, again, the one example that I'm most familiar with is for the San Antonio, Alamo area. They've scripted out how it works. We do not have that language for you today.
Okay.
As far as, to make it legal and how it works. Generally, they have, and Judge Scott had it right, elected officials can only have an alternate
Right.
as an elected official.
Designated alternate, not like open to anybody this week, I'm going to pick this
Right.
person, next week, this person, yeah.
And that's what I'm asking too,
Yeah.
because maybe you can't make it and designated person can't make it either, then,
Yeah.
in other words, you can send Commissioner Modis, Commissioner Chesney, if they can show up. That's what I'm asking. I don't know how
Yep.
that works.
And so the way it works in San Antonio is it's designated. So as it's designated now, each of you is designated as specific, representation from your entity.
And if we can't
Now-
make it, then the designation.
Right. And so you would designate, so from the RTA, Art, you would designate your CEO.
Right, okay.
And so it's not any staff that decides to show
So
up.
if I cannot attend that meeting, then he attends that meeting. It's not he always
If we go
attends.
to this plan, if we
Correct.
get
Just
this
make sure.
approved,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. It's like, not right now. Yeah.
No, I just
Yeah,
meant
okay.
that I can still come, but if I cannot,
Yes.
I designate him, okay.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Okay.
so, again, what I'm proposing is let us bring back a new set of bylaws if you give us direction to contemplate those three things, and we can bring that back. But again, also consideration of moving forward these bylaws, knowing that they may change.
And again, maybe our attorney can answer this, but you mentioned the Attorney General had given, of course, their opinions, we can do whatever we want to do, but if there's an opinion out there that says we cannot do this, then why are we doing this?
Somehow Bear County did it. They found a way.
Did they do it?
We don't know how it
When
got.
did they do that, before the opinion, after the opinion, I mean,
Yeah, I
if it's
can't,
after the opinion, then,
I think
whatever.
that's what we're asking him to go look at and see, to find out if there is a way to do it.
What does our attorney think? Should we even be doing this? Or should we?
I was not aware that y'all wanted to do this, and I have not seen the AG opinion, so I'm going to have to defer until I look at
Fair
the
enough.
thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Could we still move forward with asking you to check into it, but passing the bylaws today, like you said, we need to go ahead and pass what we have, but asking you to check into that?
Language to put in?
yes, I think that could be the
Yeah.
motion approval of
Yeah.
approve the bylaws with the stipulation that new bylaws be brought back considering these things.
If it's.
Alternate voting,
If it's even
video,
able to be
conference
done.
calling.
Yes.
And the process
Yeah.
for alternates, how you designate them. So all that.
But this is basically going to be depending on, I guess, the AG's opinion. I mean, I don't want to do all this stuff and the AG says we violated the law. I don't want to be on the bad side of, Ken Paxton. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, so.
And so I think working with the attorney, we make sure it's all legal and squared up. The
But
bylaws,
again, this is still going to, even if we pass this, we still can be at the ruling, if we ask for the ruling from the AG that basically says we cannot do this and we just wasted a whole day voting on something we cannot do. That's correct.
Yeah.
If you ask
Yeah.
for it, if you find that it is doable without that, then that's different. But I know many
Right.
times in the county when we have asked for things, we find differing attorney general opinions throughout the years too. So if we find a legal way that it can be, the process can be done, we don't
Right.
need to ask
Yeah,
for an
and-
opinion.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I think Art's, what Art's asking, we'd have to
Sorry.
bring back,
That was good.
we'd have to
You
bring the
don't
language
In the
back.
event that it can't happen.
Yeah.
And if it can happen, we don't do it. Yeah.
Right.
If you don't find a legal way for us to, we want to do it legally by all means, not insinuating anything otherwise. Yes.
Always.
Yes.
And I think another point of note is that elected officials are treated differently than agency or appointed positions, right, Rob?
Yes,
Yes.
yep. And so what San Antonio did is it's, elected official can designate another elected officials. For non-elected officials appointed, like both of you, you would name a designated person as well.
And possibly even as far as the Attorney General's ruling was my understanding as well. So Art and I would be treated differently than the elected officials in the AG ruling. AG didn't really rule on agency
Correct.
proxy votes.
I'm good. I'm going to make him my appointee.
Can't be a sitting member. Let me just clarify right now.
Yeah.
So then to move forward with today's procedure with that other direction, did you make the motion for this already? Did you make it?
I did not yet.
Oh, I thought somebody did, so I'm sorry. Yes.
That is all just under discussion so far.
Yeah. Do we have a motion and to proceed?
So was the mayor of Gregory going to visit with us? Like if we move forward with this, we're approving adding another member to the board.
We did that last meeting.
Okay, and I missed that last meeting. I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
If you approve it today, yes, you're adding City Gregory
Yes.
as a voting member.
And that'll be under
The
4C
last
also?
time.
I'm sorry.
4C.
That's under
yes,
4C also?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And when is, never mind. Go ahead.
And
Are they also adding,
Could you use your, can you use your
Arias,
microphone?
You might pull your microphone down and.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Are they also adding the tie vote?
Yes.
Yes,
That's
that language.
Those are the only two things they're
For
voting on
today, the vote is
That was the only
adding
thing.
and the structure for what happens if there is a tie.
Right,
That was
Correct.
4C, correct?
That's all
Yes.
that's in there today.
Yes.
okay, and so their motion would reflect that.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Judge, I'll give you the motion to adopt 4C as written.
With adding the
With
voting
with-
member from Gregory and the tiebreaker.
Adding the voting member
language.
and the tiebreaker
Yes.
language into the
Yes.
bylaws.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll second.
Second?
Sorry. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously again. Item D, we talked a little bit with the last discussion on the draft TxDOT MPO boundary change packet, and this needs to
Yes.
be done by December, I think I heard you say.
Yep, I'll
But we have it in here, so,
I'll fill in the gaps on this
Thank you.
agenda item. One of the pieces of the boundary change packet that, again, submitted to TxDOT, and then from TxDOT onto the governor, that's the process to get our boundary changed. Now, remember, our boundary change process has been underway for about 2 years. Every U.S. Census allows MPOs across the country to look at their boundaries and see if they need to change it. Most of the time, it's adding cities, counties, or whatever. Our case, we didn't add much territory. If you look at the map in your packet, we added some area around the Portland-Gregory area. We truncated at the water line of the Gulf. We got rid of some of that. We truncated Clayburgh County. And so that's known that we don't have a piece of Clayburgh County. And so we went through a pretty good exercise online with the local government representation and TxDOT as part of that to look at some of the tweaks of the boundary that we've talked about in some of your past meetings. We think we have a unanimous approval of the boundary. That's always the hardest part. But other pieces of that, and in your packet, I have the checklist. So things like a letter, a copy of the resolution, minutes of your actions on bylaws. And so the resolution of your bylaws that you just did, that helps us get things done without waiting for your minutes to be approved in a month. So we can get the boundary change packet submitted faster. And so that packet, again, has to have the boundary, a visual of the old boundary, new boundary, text description of it, copy of the current adopted bylaws. And so all of that goes in, gets packaged and sent to TxDOT. So now we're in a position of get that packaged together. We put the pieces in your package so you've had a chance to see all that. And so we'll move forward with that. We will, not talk about Robstown anymore. Robstown has a triangular piece of land defined by the U.S. Census. You've heard me say it 10 times. That's in our boundary. No choice in the matter. But City of Robstown, after talking with TxDOT, they do not want to join the MPO. They get more money from the rural program of TxDOT. Fair enough. And so we just have to document that because they are going to be in our boundary, but not a member. So today we're have a joint recommendation again from your technical advisory committee and staff to approve this boundary change packet through the resolutions. And there's 3 sets of resolutions. Again, the quick overview, we need a resolution for everything, for the bylaws, for the boundary change packet, and for the boundary. So there's a triple header of resolutions. Again, the resolutions expedite the process, so we don't have to wait for your approval of today's minutes in a month. And so that's why we have all the resolutions. With that, we're looking for your approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Do I have a motion?
A motion to approve the proposed MPO boundary through Resolution 2607 and the TxDOT MPO boundary change packet for submittal to TxDOT and the governor through Resolution 2608.
Very good, thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item E, and this is yours, Japhet, the draft 2050 NTP Chapter 3 and Chapter 6 items.
Good afternoon. As you may know, the Corpus Christi MPO staff is continuing to develop the Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2050 MTP. This time we're bringing Chapter 3, which is goals, objectives, and performance measures, as well as Chapter 6, financial and fiscal constraint. For Chapter 3, what we did was copulate the 2050 plan from TxDOT, as well as their freight and active transportation and their federal performance measures, and added it to our chapter. So we align with TxDOT with their goals, their objectives, and performance measures. For Chapter 6, the financial planning fiscal constraint, what we did is took TxDOT financial plan, as well as the financial plans of the cities, the counties, and the different agencies that are part of the MPO. What we did as well was include TxDOT long-range revenue forecast to create this chapter, as well as their assumptions on where this money is coming from. And what we did was, at the bottom of that chapter, we can find the funding numbers by categories as well. So everything is specific, and there is a lot of detail on Chapter 6 of where that money is coming from as well. And what we did, one thing that needs to be clear is that if for some reason any of, if a TxDOT or a city or a county or any of the agencies updates their fiscal plan, we will be able to switch that and just switch it and update it for our plan. We have from here until April, so there is no issue, and we're just asking for you to approve those 2 chapters so we can continue with this process. Our recommendation, the Corpus Christi MPO staff and TAC jointly recommend the TPC approves Chapter 3, goals, objectives, and performance measures, and Chapter 6, fiscal plan and fiscal constraint to use in the draft 2050 MTP development and public outreach process. If you have any questions, feel free to.
And this continues to be available for public comment till we vote on the final thing. Yes. Okay.
Yes, we have from here until April, when we bring the whole package, the whole plan.
Yes, I agree. We don't really get much public comment. I like to really kind of push the public interest, the public comment. Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anything, anybody? Then I'll make the motion to approve Chapter 3, goals, objectives, and performance measures, and Chapter 6, financial plan and fiscal constraint for use in the draft 2050 MTP development and public outreach processes.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We have item number 5, TPC member statements. Do we have any statements on local projects, programs, or items of interest for today?
No updates or news from us.
Nothing? Okay, then moving on, proposed executive session. I know we only have 4 members here, but we've been putting this off. Do y'all want to go ahead and go into executive for item 7, possible action for the employment agreement on the director? Okay. Before I read all this, I wanted to make sure we were going there. Thank you very much. Proposed executive session. Executive session public notices given that the Transportation Policy Committee may elect to go into an executive session anytime during the meeting to discuss matters listed on the agenda when authorized by the provisions of the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. In the event the Transportation Policy Committee elects to go into executive session regarding an agenda item, the section or sections of the Open Meetings Act authorizing the executive session will be publicly announced by the presiding officer. In accordance with the authority of the Government Code, Vernon's Texas Code, Section 551.071, 551.072, 551.073, 551.074, 551.076, 551.086, the Transportation Policy Committee will hold an executive session to consult with attorneys, including matters related to litigation, deliberate regarding real property, prospective gifts, personnel matters, including termination, security devices, and/or economic development negotiations, and other matters that may be discussed in an executive session. Upon completion of the executive session, the Transportation Policy Committee may, in an open session, take such action as appropriate on items discussed in the executive session. Today's discussion will be on, as I said, the possible actions regarding the employment agreement of the Transportation Planning Director. And I assume that is like we have in our court, Mary Esther, 551.071. And it is 2:49, and we are going to executive session. So we will be back. Okay, it is 3:46. We are back from executive. I believe we are going to bring this item number 7 back for further action. But I would like to, before we get started, any more discussion on anything or moving on to our agenda thing, is to acknowledge that we have our new member here, Mayor from Gregory, and we voted earlier the action to allow her to be a voting member, so she is official, and we want to welcome you to the committee. Would you like to say anything about your community or anything? And please push the button.
Push this button?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me on the board. I'm very excited to be here and to get to understand more of how our city works together in the MPO and what that means for us, how we will be able to move forward. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here last meeting as well. So moving on, since we have no action on that, we will talk about upcoming meetings and events. I believe the next Transportation Policy Committee is July 2nd. I would like to know if anybody has any problems with that, because I know I've already talked to 2 of us that do have a problem with that July 2nd meeting. So if you...
I personally have a problem with the July 2nd meeting. I'm actually scheduled for an arm surgery that day, so.
Yes, well, I think you better be there.
Yeah.
I have...
You can't do both?
It's been about 6 months waiting. I don't want to wait any longer, and they've already pushed me back, so.
Are there any others, or because we want to make sure that we can make quorum, or do we want to move this meeting, or is
Judge,
there?
I'm ex officio, but I also can't make that meeting.
Yeah, I can't make it either. I will not. I will be out of town with grandkids on vacation, so.
It may be a good idea to consider another date.
Do we have voting items that we need to vote on to do another date this?
Probably. Let me send out a poll, check your calendars, and then we'll get back to a date. It may be a week later.
Okay.
Well, then
Usually we
that
try to go,
that following week is the week after the July 4th holiday. There's a lot of people going to be taking vacations as a result of the holiday.
I am not back until the 10th, actually.
okay. Let me send a
Same
doodle
thing,
poll.
Third week.
Let me send a doodle poll out to y'all.
And I
Okay.
won't be available on the 14th, so
You won't be
I will
available?
be in Austin on the 14th.
Okay.
Okay. Let me
Does it
poll
have
you
to
all
be
and
on
get some dates.
Does it have to be on a Thursday? Let's see.
Just keep it off of y'all's council meetings, county commissioners meetings, and RTA.
Oh, gosh, they're everywhere. I know, believe me.
And we're starting budget meetings and department hearings and things, so
It just seems like 30 is always a good day because no one has a.
Yeah. So if you want to send that around for us to maybe respond with just a couple of options, I wouldn't put too many on there because, yeah.
Yeah, we'll try to narrow the focus and avoid all the other standing meetings y'all have. And we'll also see if we have any urgent matters. If we don't have any action items, we can cancel the meeting.
I think it's very important from the feedback that we're asking from you for that next meeting that we all can make it to that meeting.
Okay.
So we can put that item to closure as well.
Perfect.
Okay, we'll find a date and time.
Now I have lost my agenda, but there are no other items. I would accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned at 3:50. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.